Like to say to them if you saw them?
Gosh, yeah, I would just like to give them a hug and tell them how proud I am of what they've been doing and, ask for forgiveness for any kind of, misunderstandings.
Telling everybody I got a drug problem.
Hey, we both know you brought this on yourself.
How about you cost me my job, you prick?
Hey, Roy, my advice would be you take this outside.
Some of the biggest actors you revere are not just hard to work with, they are nightmares. From wild tantrums to career-destroying rants, these actors made life on set a living hell for co-stars and crew. Even worse, their public persona is so perfect, like the first actor on our list. It's hard to believe they can be so brutal. So stick with us as we look at 10 actors from the 90s that were horrible to work with, and get ready to find out who made the worst list. Starting at number 10, Dustin Diamond. Dustin Diamond, better known as Screech from Saved by the Bell, was nothing like the goofball he played on screen. Yes, he was a different man. Behind the scenes, this guy was unloved. Cast and crew complained about his constant rude behavior and his pranks going too far. On top of that, he was disrespectful at the slightest opportunity. As the show ended, Dustin took his bitterness to the public by releasing a book full of wild claims. He said Mario Lopez raped a girl, but NBC paid her to shut up. He also claimed that Tiffany Amber Thiessen cheated on the actor who played Johnny Dakota simultaneously with Mario Lopez and Mark Paul Gosselaar. Oops! Of course, most of his co-stars denied these claims. They called it a desperate grab for attention.
You'd like to say to them if you saw them?
Gosh, yeah, I would just like to give them a hug and tell them how proud I am of what they've been doing and, ask for forgiveness for any kind of, misunderstandings.
Dustin's controversy didn't stop here. He was kicked out of multiple reality shows for being combative and hostile. On December 26, 2014, he pulled a switchblade knife during a bar fight, leading to jail time. What started as a promising TV career turned into a gradual crash thanks to his actions. Trust his former castmates to be relieved knowing that they'll never work with him again. Speaking of destructive behavior in public, another actor caused chaos in his personal brand. Guess who? And if you're enjoying this content, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so we can continue to bring you more content like this. Now at number 9, Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen didn't only fall off track, he got into another galaxy. At the height of 2.5 Men, Sheen was the highest paid actor on TV. But behind the scenes, things were exploding. He was a notorious drug user, he missed shoots, trashed hotel rooms, and made outrageous demands. Here's where it gets more dramatic. He made public rants against the show's creator, Chuck Lorre. Sheen called him a clown and a charlatan with an unevolved mind. Of course, his erratic public outbursts and drug use got him fired. Warner Brothers had to replace him because they couldn't put up with him any longer.
During the time, you may remember Chuck Lorre and Charlie Sheen appeared to be locked in a bitter feud before Sheen was fired. Now Lorre is denying there was ever a feud.
Co-stars described him as hostile and impossible. Sheen went out of hand on his bad days. Even his interviews showcased tiger blood in the raw sense. He was unprofessional and dangerous. Nobody could predict his next move, making him a liability to movie producers. The drama happened on the screen and set. No winning here. And now to another actor with an addiction who made life a living hell for others. Number 8, Brett Butler. Brett Butler was a rising star in the 90s with Grace Under Fire, but this fame had some downsides. The superstar made the production a living hell. She constantly argued with writers, clashed with co-stars, and missed shoots. Crew members reported her frequent mood swings and meltdowns that made it impossible to work with her. And then there was drug addiction. She eventually admitted to a Vicodin and painkiller addiction, which made her erratic on set. Thanks to her, Grace Under Fire was briefly stopped. This was when she went for rehabilitation to get back on track.
Sleazy, don't you? And I was like watching Jennifer Flowers on there, listening to her whole side of the story, and I was like, you mean you were dating a married man and he said he loved you and he'd leave his wife and he did?
Despite taking a break, she relapsed, forcing ABC to cancel the show altogether. Already the show's ratings had dropped and fans were checking out. The cast and crew had had enough too. It was heartbreaking to watch someone so talented be the reason her show fell apart. Speaking of actors watching things fall apart, Tom Arnold was another pain in the butt. Number 7, Tom Arnold. Tom Arnold was more than Roseanne's husband. He was a nuisance for everyone on set. While working on Roseanne, he acted like a self-appointed boss. He threw orders left, right, and center, thereby making enemies for himself. Crew members wanted out. Writers were discouraged. Even the most experienced producers couldn't deal with it.
I would.
Well, you gave me like a yes
Midwest,
no.
We're both Midwest folks, Iowa, Minnesota. So did he play any tapes for you?
Did he play tapes for me? No.
Okay.
He got worse after his divorce from Roseanne Barr. The former lovebirds had a swell time calling each other names in the media. Tom burned bridges across Hollywood with his temper and loud mouth. Plus, he is a notorious racist who openly trash talks black conservative women. He throws shade on talk shows, makes scenes, and overshares private drama. Producers dread having him around. Yes, he was talented, but the temperament was a no-no. And if you think Tom was a storm, wait until you see the volcano. Number 6, Roseanne Barr. Speaking of birds of a feather, Roseanne Barr was a force to reckon with, but not in a good way. She was arguably the queen of sitcoms in her prime. On the side, she fired writers too often. It was normal to join her team and get fired right after you joined. She pressured her writers so much that they worked on her scripts until 2 a.m. Not even the best writers escaped her wrath. Her co-stars were sometimes caught in the crossfire.
Listen, I want to talk to you about David, you know. I think he might be getting ready to run away.
Like many actors in this video, working with Roseanne was tough. Who remembers Roseanne's racist tweet comparing Valerie Jarrett to an ape? That was the last straw. ABC dropped her instantly and moved on. She was a real-life volcano waiting to erupt. This goes to show that talent is never enough. Sometimes the biggest stars aren't the smartest after all. When you think things can't get any worse, this actor switches up. At number 5, Martin Lawrence. Martin Lawrence was the face of Martin, a 90s comedy hit. He had a successful stand-up, movie, and sitcom career, and was on top of the world. However, when he reached his peak, his personal life unraveled before our eyes. He had a series of controversies that threatened to bring him down. In 1997, co-star Tisha Campbell accused Lawrence of sexual harassment while filming Martin. She refused to shoot scenes with him. It got so bad that the final season was pieced together using creative editing to avoid them in the same room. Fans had no idea what happened. Unknown to many, things were falling apart.
Just relax.
Please.
While I play you some music on my stereo.
Well, then I'll play you some music on mine, cause it jams.
Oh, it's gonna blow up.
It jams.
In addition to that was his unnecessarily public behaviors. He ran into traffic, waving a gun at someone. It became clear that something was wrong with him. His issues were a blend of personal and professional. The show may have had jokes, but the vibe behind the scenes was not funny. Co-workers dreaded the meltdown he made them have. Comedians aren't so cool after all. Next up is another guy who was impossible to believe. Now at number 4, Andrew Dice Clay. Andrew Dice Clay exploded in the 90s with a foul mouth, a leather jacket, and a truckload of controversies. He called himself the Dice Man. It sounds fun until he unraveled before us. Dice's jokes were homophobic and misogynistic. They were often targeted at women, minorities, or anyone who breathed. Studios feared the backlash from working with him. In fact, when he hosted SNL in 1990, cast member Nora Dunn refused to perform with him. Even musical guest Sinead O'Connor boycotted the episode. That's how toxic he was. But guess what? Dice didn't care. He doubled down instead.
'Cause you are a jerk-off. That's what I think. If I was a dick, I'd be in your mouth right now.
On set, he demanded top billing, clashed with directors, and stormed off projects that didn't go his way. This guy was a wrecking ball to people around him and his career. He was banned from MTV in 1989 for using dirty lines on stage. And here comes David Caruso. Number 3, David Caruso. David Caruso went from TV heartthrob on NYPD Blue to Hollywood pariah in good time. To think, he had no formal training as an actor, but rose to the ranks fast. Why was he suddenly blacklisted? So, after a successful season on NYPD Blue, David asked for a massive raise. He demanded double of what his co-stars earned. When producers refused, he walked out on the show. Unfortunately, that gamble did not pay off. He went on to star in Jade and Body Count, but the films flopped big time.
Telling everybody I got a drug problem.
Hey, we both know you brought this on yourself.
How about you cost me my job, you prick?
Hey, Roy, my advice would be you take this outside the state.
Word even got out that he was demanding and notorious for arguing with directors. He sometimes isolated himself from crew members. Only a few people missed him when he left NYPD Blue. Imagine how fast ego killed his budding career in the 90s. Caruso later joined CSI Miami, but the ghost of his past behavior followed him. If there's one actor whose reputation never recovered, no matter how many chances he got, it's Chevy. At number 2, Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase was once a comedy legend. But what's it they say about everyone having a bad story? Well, Chase isn't so lucky. He was banned from Saturday Night Live after getting physically and verbally aggressive to the cast and crew. To add insult to injury, he slapped Sherry O'Terry on the head. While he said it was a joke, fans called him out for it. Chase repeatedly made racist jokes and didn't stop despite warnings.
This time of night.
I do have a special tomorrow night. That would be May 5th. What's the Frost Nixon thing something or what?
Later on in Community, he clashes with creator Dan Harmon, calling the scripts garbage and storming off set. Castmates said he was a jerk on and off set. Donald Glover later revealed that he had been a victim of Chase's racist comments. The environment grew so tense that Dan Harmon aired Chevy's hateful voicemails. Despite his success, Chevy developed a reputation as a bitter and toxic man. Hollywood tries to forget people like him, but the audience still remembers, just like we remember the kind girl who wasn't so kind. And finally at number 1, Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen DeGeneres built her image on kindness. Over the years, she has raised tens of millions of dollars for causes close to her heart. But then, she's different on set. Multiple former staffers have described this calm and gentle woman as toxic. According to them, she made working at the Ellen DeGeneres show miserable. Imagine getting fired for attending a loved one's funeral. So much for working with Ellen. Celebrities like Leah Thompson and Brad Garrett echo the same sentiment. Reporters include racist remarks from producers, intimidation, and bizarre rules like never look Ellen in the eye.
Well, obviously a lot of people were disappointed by the results. My job is to be hopeful and to make everybody feel good, and I am going to keep doing that for as long as I can.
When news of her toxicity went viral, Ellen couldn't take it. Things came crashing down in 2020 when BuzzFeed News published a report in July 2020 detailing current and former employee claims. With this controversy hitting the roof, Ellen bowed out of her show. She eventually issued an apology, but the damage was already done. The be kind girl wasn't kind after all. Ellen went to therapy, believing that more people hated her than she imagined. It's good that she realized this. Which actor do you think was the worst to work with? Do you know of an actor that should be on this list but isn't? Please let us know in the comments below. See you next time.